I never thought it would happen like this. One moment, we were laughing, hands intertwined, promising each other we would be careful. But the weight of his words still lingers, like a poison I didn't expect. He said he wouldn't let it happen, that we'd be open, but I would never feel neglected. That was his promise. And yet, as I sit here, alone in the stillness of this room, I realize that his desire was the first casualty. My heart ached first. I wonder now if I was a fool to believe his reassurances. The walls feel too tight, my chest too full of regret. The things I never said weigh heavy. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to embrace the openness, but every moment now feels like betrayal. It's hard to even look at the phone he left behind, the same phone I once trusted to send sweet messages. Now, it holds the weight of secrets, and I find myself crumbling beneath their unspoken weight. And here, in this silence, I know we are no longer the same. It's hard to admit, but I always believed in him. I believed in us. The openness, the promises, everything we had agreed on. It seemed like the perfect solution, the compromise that would make everything work. At least, that's what I told myself every day. But now, looking back, I realize how naive I was. How could I have thought it would be that easy? How could I believe that we could navigate something so complex and come out unscathed? I wanted to believe him when he said nothing would change between us, that he would always make time for me, that I wouldn't be pushed aside for someone else. But now, with every lingering glance, every secret message, I see that I was wrong. The cracks began long before I even noticed, and now I'm left picking up the pieces of a shattered dream, a broken promise that was never meant to be kept. I tried to be strong, to accept things as they were. But the truth is, I was never prepared for this. I can't shake the feeling that I'm losing him, piece by piece. Every time he goes out, every time he looks at someone else, I feel it. It's a cold, creeping sensation that sinks deeper each day. At first, it was easy to dismiss, to convince myself that everything was fine, that we had agreed on boundaries. But as time went on, those boundaries blurred, and I found myself alone in this mess, clinging to promises that no longer held any weight. He told me I was his priority, that there would never be favorites, but I see the way he looks at her, the way his touch lingers a little too long when she's around. I try not to let it bother me, but it does. And with every passing day, the trust I had in him starts to fade. The trust we had in each other. I'm caught between wanting to be okay with it and wanting to scream. But what's the point in fighting something I can't control? I just wish he would have cared enough to keep his word. I told myself it wasn't jealousy, just a fleeting feeling. But the truth is, it's eating at me. I'm not sure when it happened, but somewhere along the way, the idea of no favorites became a lie. I can feel it in the way he treats her, the attention, the care, the sweetness that once belonged to me. I told myself I would be okay with this, that this kind of love was supposed to be freeing, but now it feels like a cage. I don't know how to navigate it anymore. Every time I hear them laughing together, my stomach twists in knots. It's not just jealousy, it's a fear I never saw coming. The fear that I might not be enough, that I was never enough. I was supposed to be his rock, his constant. But now, I feel like I'm crumbling, like I'm being replaced. I wish I had seen it sooner. Maybe I could have stopped it, changed things before they got this far. But now it's too late. I'm left with the remnants of a promise that was never meant to be kept. He told me he'd be careful, that he wouldn't let this tear us apart. But here I am, torn, holding on to nothing but the echo of words I once believed. I don't know how we got here. All I know is that I'm standing at the edge of something that feels like the end, and I'm not sure I can keep going. I want to scream, to tell him how much this hurts, how much I need him to see me, to care about me the way he promised. But the words won't come. All I can do is sit here, waiting for him to come back, even though I know, deep down, he won't. I can feel the change now. Subtle, but undeniable. He doesn't look at me the same way anymore. Not like he used to. The moments that once felt intimate, just the two of us, now seem to stretch thin, filled with awkward pauses. He's always distracted, checking his phone, his smile less genuine. And there are times when I catch him glancing at someone else, that my heart tightens in my chest. It's hard to ignore the small cracks, the space between us growing larger with every passing day. I try to brush it off, tell myself it's nothing. But every little detail, the way he's suddenly busy, the secretive smile when his phone buzzes, it all adds up. I want to confront him, ask him outright, but something stops me. I fear the answer. I tried to bring it up casually, hoping maybe it was just my imagination. But the moment the words left my mouth, I knew I was too late. He brushed it off like it was nothing, like I was overreacting. His tone was dismissive, and for the first time, I felt like I didn't matter. He smiled and reassured me, but there was a lack of warmth in his voice. That was the moment I realized that something had changed for him. I had always been the one who needed reassurance, but now, I was the one doubting everything. The trust that once felt unshakable now feels fragile, and every word that passes between us feels like a carefully constructed lie. I wonder how long it will take before he breaks the promise. The more I think about it, the more I feel like I'm losing him. It's not just the way he talks to me now. It's the way he looks at me, as if I'm not the same person I was before. I can see it in his eyes when I try to get closer, when I try to hold his hand or ask about his day. There's a hesitance, an awkwardness that wasn't there before. And I hate myself for feeling this way, for needing something from him that I'm not sure he can give me anymore. I used to believe we could handle this, that we could share each other and still remain true. But now, every new touch, every new word, feels like a betrayal of the intimacy we once had. I can't keep pretending that everything is fine. I feel like I'm losing myself in this in us, and I'm afraid that if I say something now, it will only push him further away. But how much longer can I keep swallowing my fears? How much longer can I keep playing the part of the understanding partner, the one who's okay with everything, when inside I'm crumbling? I need him to see me, to see the person I've always been to him. I need to know that I'm not just another part of this twisted arrangement. But he's slipping away, and I don't know if I can catch him before it's too late. The tension between us is unbearable now. I can't ignore it any longer, but every time I try to confront him, I freeze. I want to say everything, to finally admit that I'm not okay, that I'm scared of losing him. But the words won't come. I'm terrified of what will happen if I speak the truth, terrified of the possibility that he won't feel the same way. It's a constant tug of war inside me. Part of me wants to walk away, to leave before he has the chance to break me. But another part of me wants to stay, to believe in the love we once had, to hope that things can be fixed before they fall apart completely. I didn't expect it to happen like this. He's always been so careful, so methodical in how he navigates our open relationship. But then there's her, Emily. She wasn't supposed to be anything more than an occasional presence, someone we both knew casually. But somehow she's become more than that. I've caught the way he looks at her, the subtle way his voice softens when he speaks her name. It's more than just attraction. There's something deeper there, something that makes my chest ache with jealousy. I tried to be okay with it, to embrace the idea that love doesn't have to be confined to one person. But with every smile she flashes, every glance she catches, it's harder to ignore. Emily is no longer the side piece she was meant to be. She's something real, and I'm not sure if I can handle it. It's like I'm invisible when they're together. I can see the way Emily leans into him, the way her laugh lingers in the air long after she stops speaking. I try to brush it off, but it's impossible not to notice the intimacy between them. The small touches, the shared inside jokes, the way he can't keep his eyes off her. It's everything I feared, everything I tried to suppress when we agreed to this arrangement. I always thought I could handle it, but the reality is far harsher than I imagined. It hurts in a way I didn't anticipate, the way a wound festers without ever showing on the surface. I want to confront him, to demand an answer, but what's the point? Would it change anything? Would he even see the pain that's building inside me? I don't know why it hurts this much. It's not like I didn't know the risks. I knew that opening ourselves up to this would come with complications, but I didn't think it would feel like I was being left behind. Emily isn't just another person in the picture. She's starting to take a place I thought was reserved for me. I never thought I'd feel this way. So small, so unimportant. I thought love would be enough, that we could make this work. But now I see that my love isn't enough to hold his attention. He's slipping away, not physically, but emotionally. And it feels like I'm losing a part of him every time he looks at her. I've never felt more invisible in my life. I tried to convince myself that maybe I was just overthinking it, that I was reading too much into every glance, every shared touch between them. But I can't stop feeling like I'm losing ground, like the rules we set in place are no longer valid. It's not just about jealousy, it's about trust. I trusted him when he said this would be different, that there would be no favorites, no deeper connections beyond what was agreed. But now I'm seeing something else, something that feels like betrayal. It's the way he touches her arm so naturally, so effortlessly. It's the way he lights up when she walks into the room. I see it, and I can't pretend it doesn't hurt. I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending I'm okay with this when everything inside me is screaming otherwise. I need to talk to him. I know that. But the words feel stuck in my throat, like I'm afraid to hear the answer. What if I confront him and he tells me I'm overreacting? What if he tells me I'm just being insecure, that I should accept things for what they are? I can't let that happen. I need him to understand how much this hurts, how much I'm fighting against feelings that I never expected. I want to be seen again, to be valued the way I used to be. But every time I try to say it, the words turn into something else. I want to tell him that I don't feel like his priority anymore, that I don't feel like I matter. But part of me is scared that I'll lose him altogether if I do. I didn't expect to find out like this, not in such a cold, impersonal way. The moment I saw the message, I knew something had shifted, something I wasn't prepared to confront. I had been suspicious for weeks, but I never thought he would betray me like this. He said he would always be honest, that we would communicate through everything. But now, as I stare at the message on his phone, I see the truth written in someone else's words, words he never shared with me. A love note to Emily, filled with affection, filled with promises that I should have been receiving. It was never supposed to be this way. I wanted to believe in him, in us. But this feels like the final blow. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know if I can. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, as the reality of what I was seeing settled in. How long had this been going on? Were there more messages I hadn't seen? Was this all a lie? I felt like the ground beneath me had shifted, leaving me floating in uncertainty. The messages weren't just casual texts, they were intimate, filled with care and longing, things he had never shared with me in months. I always thought I had a sense of what was happening between us, but this revelation pulled the rug out from under me. The lies, the half-truths, they all come rushing back now, and I can't escape the feeling of being foolish. I had trusted him. I had trusted her. And now, everything is broken. I wanted to confront him immediately, to demand answers, to scream until my voice cracked. But I couldn't bring myself to do it. Instead, I stood there in the silence, the weight of his absence crashing down on me. The truth settled over me like a suffocating blanket, and I realized something I hadn't wanted to admit. I had been in denial. The signs had always been there. His distance, his hidden smiles, his unspoken words. But I had refused to see it, too afraid of what it would mean for us. Now, standing in the quiet of the night, I can't escape the fact that everything has changed. He's no longer the person I thought he was, and I'm no longer the person I used to be. When he finally came home, I was already sitting in the dark, waiting. I didn't know what I was going to say, how I was going to react. I wasn't sure I even wanted to confront him. But when he walked in, his face was calm, almost too calm. He didn't know I knew. And that made everything worse. Thought that he could still hide something so important from me, from us, shattered any remaining trust I had in him. I wanted to ask him if he'd been seeing her, if he had been lying to me all this time. But when I opened my mouth, the words wouldn't come. Instead, I just sat there, lost in the silence that had replaced all the love we once shared. When he finally spoke, It was everything I had feared. He said it wasn't what it looked like, that it was just a fling, just something casual, something that meant nothing. But I couldn't believe him. I couldn't hear him anymore. The words felt empty, meaningless, like they were said to protect himself, to protect his own guilt. I had heard the same excuses before, but they no longer held any weight. The truth was undeniable. He had betrayed me, and now I was left with the aftermath of something broken. My heart, my trust, everything we had built was shattered, and I didn't know how to put it back together. I couldn't take it anymore. The silence between us had stretched too long, too thick, and I was suffocating in it. I had given him every chance to explain, every chance to take responsibility, but instead, he just kept telling me it wasn't as bad as I thought. But it was. It was worse than I ever imagined. I wanted to scream, to shake him, to make him understand how deeply this had cut me. But the words got stuck in my throat, and all I could do was sit there in disbelief. The man I loved, the man I trusted, had betrayed me in a way that seemed beyond repair. How could he think that was okay? That any of this was okay? I needed to make him see the pain he'd caused, even if it meant destroying everything between us. I finally let it out. Every emotion I had been holding back, every fear I had been suppressing, exploded in a wave of raw, unfiltered pain. I told him everything, the way his lies had chipped away at me, the way his indifference had made me feel invisible, the way I had been so desperate to hold on that I couldn't see what was right in front of me. I wanted him to understand, to feel the same way, but as I spoke, I realized something. He couldn't. He was never going to see me the way I needed to be seen. And that realization hit harder than any betrayal. It wasn't just the affair that had broken us, it was the fact that, in the end, I was always going to be second place. His response was not what I expected. He didn't apologize, didn't try to explain. Instead, he just sat there, as if it didn't matter to him, as if the hurt I felt was nothing more than a minor inconvenience. His coldness cut deeper than anything he could have said. I wanted to slap him, to shake him and demand that he see me, really see me. But there was something in his eyes, something distant, that made me realize he had already moved on. And that was the hardest part of all. I was left standing there, alone in my pain, while he seemed unaffected. I had poured my heart into this relationship, and in the end I wasn't even worth a second thought. In that moment I realized something that shook me to my core. I had been fighting for something that wasn't worth saving. My love, my loyalty, my trust, they had all been squandered. I had given everything to him, but he had already chosen her. And as painful as it was, I finally saw the truth. He wasn't mine anymore. The man I had loved was gone, replaced by someone who could so easily let go of what we had. I didn't want to believe it, didn't want to admit it to myself, but I had no choice. He had already made his choice. And now, so did I. I finally spoke the words I had been holding back for so long. I can't do this anymore. My voice cracked as I said it, the finality of the statement sinking into the air between us. He didn't try to stop me. He didn't even seem surprised. His silence spoke louder than anything he could have said. And in that silence, I found my answer. This was the end. I had fought so hard for something that was never truly mine to keep. But now, I was done. It was time to let go, to walk away from the ashes of something that could never be rebuilt. I turned and walked out the door, leaving behind the person I thought I knew, and the person I thought I could love forever. It's been weeks since I left, and I've spent every day trying to figure out how to move forward. I thought time would heal everything, but in some ways, it feels like I'm more broken than before. I keep thinking about all the moments we shared, the way we used to laugh, the way his hand would fit in mine so perfectly. But those memories are starting to feel distant, like they belong to someone else. Every day, I wake up and try to push through the pain. The hurt still lingers, but there's also something else now. Something that feels like freedom. It's not a clean break, not yet, but it's the beginning of me finding myself again. Some days are harder than others. There are moments when the silence of the apartment feels like a weight pressing down on me. I'll reach for my phone, half expecting a message from him, but then remember that there's nothing left to say. It's a strange kind of emptiness, like a void that was once filled with so much. I still catch myself thinking about him, wondering how he's doing, if he feels the loss too. But I can't go back. I can't keep living in the past, waiting for something that will never return. I'm learning to let go, but it's a slow process. I've started going out again, taking walks around the city, visiting places I once enjoyed. It's not easy, but it's helping. There's a small part of me that's beginning to enjoy the solitude, to appreciate the moments I now have to myself. The pain isn't gone, not by any means, but it's fading, little by little. I'm learning to rebuild. I'm learning to be alone, and strangely, that's starting to feel like enough. I don't need anyone else to make me feel whole. I'm learning that I can be enough for myself. I've started seeing the therapist, something I never thought I would do. At first I resisted the idea, thinking I could handle it on my own. But now, I realize that there's no shame in needing help. Slowly, I'm untangling the mess I've been carrying inside me. I'm learning to confront my fears, my insecurities, and the parts of myself I had ignored for so long. It's not easy, and some days I want to give up. But for the first time in a long while, I feel like I'm heading in the right direction, even if I'm not sure where it leads. It's strange, isn't it? How we can go through life, thinking we know who we are, only to find out that we've been holding ourselves back from something more. I don't know if I'll ever fully heal from the hurt he caused, but I'm starting to understand that it doesn't have to define me. I'm no longer waiting for him to change, to make things right. The only person who can make things right is me. And that's what I'm doing now, one step at a time. There are still days when I feel lost, but there are also days when I feel free. Free to be who I want to be, without the weight of his betrayal holding me down. I'm starting to believe in myself again. It's been a few months since I left him, but the pain still catches me when I least expect it. There are days when I still think about him, wonder if he ever thinks about me the same way. I try to tell myself that I've moved on, that I've healed, but the truth is I haven't. Not fully. There's still a part of me that wishes things could have been different, that maybe I could have been enough. But I have come to realize something important. No matter how much I wanted him to be the one, he wasn't. He could never be the one to heal me. That responsibility lies with me, and I'm learning to accept it no matter how painful it feels. I need to find peace, even if it's in the form of letting go completely. I never thought I'd find myself standing here on my own, staring into the vast unknown. I thought I would always have him by my side, but now I'm learning to stand alone, to face the world without the weight of his promises dragging me down. It's terrifying, but it's also liberating. I've spent so long living in the shadow of what we once had, trying to hold on to something that no longer exists. But now, I'm learning to create my own future, to define who I am, not by him, but by me. The road ahead is uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, I'm ready to take it. There's a moment right before you let go when everything seems to slow down. It's as if the world stops for just a second, and you're left with the choice: hold on or move on. I didn't want to make this decision, didn't want to face the reality that I had to let him go completely. But as I stand here now, I can feel the weight lifting. The anger, the hurt, the guilt, all of it is starting to fade. I've learned that sometimes holding on only keeps you trapped. So I'm choosing to let go, to walk away from the ghost of what we could have been. I'm ready to face the future, no longer defined by my past. It's funny how the hardest part isn't the breakup itself, but everything that follows. The realization that you weren't enough for someone you thought you loved. But in the aftermath, something strange happens. You begin to realize that maybe you were always enough. You just didn't see it before. And now, I see it. I've seen the pieces of myself that I thought were broken, and I've learned to put them back together. I've learned to embrace the person I am now, the person who no longer needs his approval or anyone's validation. I am enough. And that truth, though painful, is also freeing. I used to think that I couldn't survive without him, that I would be lost forever in the wreckage of our love. But now, as I stand here, I realize that I've been rebuilding all along. It wasn't easy, and it's far from perfect, but I've found the pieces of myself that I thought I'd lost. And that, in itself, is enough. He was never the answer to my happiness. I was always the one who held the key to my own peace. I'm letting go of the past now, but I'm holding on to the future. A future where I'm not defined by him, but by me.